All right, great. Good afternoon, and thank you for inviting the Nonprofit Solar and Energy Loan Fund to participate in Broward's solar workshop today. My name is Doug Coward, and I'm the Executive Director of the Nonprofit Solar and Energy Loan Fund. And I also have my colleague and wife here, Duanne Andrade, who is our Chief Financial Officer. I know we don't have a lot of time, so we're going to go through these slides pretty quickly. I'm going to provide kind of a high-level overview of why we got started, what we're up to, and then Duanne's going to get into more detail about our specific green lending programs that we have developed, not only here in St. Lucie County, but have now expanded statewide. Next slide, please. So just as a little bit of background, back in 2009, when I was still a St. Lucie County Commissioner, it was a clear recognition that Florida was not doing well in developing clean energy technologies and making it affordable for working class families. So as a local government, we decided to try a grassroots approach of actually developing an innovative local clean energy financing program. And we really saw financing as the key to helping to unlock the clean energy economy. If people could get their hands on financing at reasonable rates, they could have overcome the high upfront cost and actually make these investments and take advantage of these technologies. So we were very fortunate back in 2009 to receive a major grant from the Department of Energy when President Obama rolled out the stimulus program. And that seed funding was used by SELF to create our organization both as a 501c3 and then later a certified community development financial institution. We became operational in the spring of 2011 when we officially launched the program. And we have now scaled that our CDFI program statewide. We've raised about $10 million in loan capital and grants, and we've developed 3 different local clean energy financing programs, which Duanne will be getting into in more detail in just a minute. Next slide, please. So we work for a 7-member board of directors, and we developed a mission statement with them, and essentially we're focused not just on clean energy, but trying to help underserved communities gain access to capital. So our mission is to rebuild and empower underserved communities, and we do so by providing access to affordable and innovative financing so that we can provide funds for a variety of sustainable building practices, and that includes energy efficiency, renewables, resilience, and water conservation. Next slide, please. The primary services that the Solar and Energy Loan Fund provides is to help our clients up front with building science expertise. We also have done more than 1,000 energy audits with state certified energy raters, so we try and help guide a homeowner on how to cost effectively tackle their energy use and then incorporate both renewables and greater resilience in the home. Number 2 is really the key service that we provide. We provide access to favorable financing. So there's a major financial inclusion portion so that working class families can participate and benefit in the clean energy economy. And then lastly, we also pre-screen all of our contractors, and we provide project management to our clients, which they appreciate greatly, to make sure that they're getting cost-effective products. The products they're investing in have been tested and vetted, and that the projects are done in a timely fashion and meet code. Next slide, please. This is a list of the broad types of improvements. The majority of our lending has been in the energy efficiency sector due to the original DOE grant that we obtained. But we've also been focused on trying to help open up renewable energy opportunities in Florida. And of course, solar is the best opportunity for renewable energy in the state of Florida. We've also found that many of our clients in underserved communities, there was a tremendous demand for resilience. They needed greater wind hazard mitigation. They needed roofs, windows, doors, and hurricane shutters. So we've been expanding our program so that we're not just doing energy, but actually taking in climate adaptation and resilience in the process. Next slide, please. And as I said, we started out on the right. You can see where it says HQ. Our headquarters is in St. Lucie County, where we started. We initially expanded into the Treasure Coast region after the first couple years. Then we worked with the city of Orlando, and I enjoyed listening to Chris Castro and all the great work they're doing in Orlando, but they helped partner with us and open up Central Florida. And then most recently, we just finalized a 3-year partnership with the city of St. Petersburg, and we have just opened up a new satellite office in the city of St. Pete with a new staff person. So you can see that we've taken our local clean energy financing program and basically we're scaling it across the state of Florida. I think we've done loans in 65 jurisdictions to date. Next slide, please. And I'm going to hand it over to Duanne. She's going to get into more detail now about the 3 different lending programs that we've been able to develop over the last 7 years, including our flagship CDFI program.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think that I'll start by just saying that one of the main things that sets us apart from any other lending institution or banks, et cetera, is that as a CDFI, we have a mandate to focus on low and moderate income communities. And as I think that you all probably can appreciate, the green technologies and solar and all these high efficiency technologies have usually been considered almost luxury items and unaffordable for the normal working class person. So as a CDFI, we not only focus on serving those underserved communities, but also in really trying to make our financing inclusive, to break down those upfront cost barriers for everyone to be able to access solar and energy efficiency and sustainable home improvements. So the CDFI is our really our institution, and through the CDFI we're able to provide unsecured small loans statewide with less stringent requirements to qualify for a loan. We are not focused on credit scores and we're not focused on security either. What we focus on is a person's ability to repay a loan. To date, 72% approximately of our lending has been done in low and moderate income communities, and I'll get to that a little bit later on. So our main program is the CDFI loans, which are these unsecured, small, average $8,500 loans that are around 3 to 5 year terms. Our second loan product is KIVA. Now, KIVA is an interesting program because what it does is it gains access to about 1.6 million micro investors across the globe that will do peer-to-peer lending through a crowdfunding platform. So I'm sure many of you are probably familiar with crowdfunding platforms like GoFundMe or Indiegogo or something like that. But the main difference is that in those other platforms, people are basically donating to a cause. In our case, and through KIVA, people are actually lending somebody across the globe to do, one of several improvements, either in their homes or for their businesses. We are one of very few approved field partners in the United States, and the first to be doing green loans actually through KIVA. Through KIVA, we are focusing on 2 groups, which are basically women and U.S. veterans. Basically, what KIVA allows is for us to bring the lowest scored and hardest hit people that are credit worthy, that have some disposable income to repay a loan, and be able to fund them at a very low interest rate. All our KIVA loans are 5% 5-year loans with basically up to $10,000 and totally unsecured. Our third program is PACE, and I think most of you are familiar with PACE, and if not, well, PACE is a property assessed clean energy program, and it, unlike a regular loan, it really becomes a voluntary assessment on your property tax bill. So the main differences between a PACE assessment and our other loans is that PACE is going to be asset backed. It's going to go on your property tax bill. You're going to be paying a loan or an assessment on a yearly basis versus an installment loan on a monthly basis. And, again, what we're trying to do is just offer an alternative financing product so that if that fits better with your cash flow and your lifestyle and your long-term goals, then that would be an option as well. I do want to note that PACE also provides a commercial loan option. Our other 2 programs are focused right now on the residential sector. Thank you. Next. Sorry, next. So I was talking a little bit about our loan products, and basically the CDFI loan products range from $1,000 to $50,000. Our terms are fixed interest rates. The CDFI loans can be anywhere from 1 to 6 years, average 7 to 9.5%. Again, unsecured and regardless of credit score. We have some clients that don't have credit score at all. Our KIVA crowdfunded loans are 3 to 5 years at 5%, and again, no asset guarantees are required. The pace is a little bit different because not only can it go up to 50, a little bit larger amounts in the case of commercial PACE loans, but it's also 5 to 20-year terms. Next. So the qualifying criteria for our loans, again, versus banks is that basically you have to have provable income. And what we did is we developed our internal proprietary methodology to be able to evaluate each client, taking into consideration a little bit more than just the credit score, you know, and whatever we can pull from systems. We actually get to know the client. We talk to the client. We understand their kind of the context of their financial situation, and every loan gets approved on an individual basis. It is a high-touch operation. However, to date, we've been able to do $6 million in loans unsecured, and we have less than a 1% default rate in a very risky environment, according to the banks. So again, the person basically has to show that they have income, whether it's retirement income, whether it's from work. They have to have their mortgage payments current. If they have a mortgage, their property taxes must be current as well. Proof of home ownership. And we do pull credit because we feel that it's also important for us to not only provide the project management aspect and, you know, the technical guidance in terms of the technologies, whether it's energy efficiency, wind hazard, or solar, but we also are helping people rebuild their credit. And again, the approval criteria is not based on the credit score, but rather the disposable income that that person has and their ability to repay a loan. We do sometimes put what's called a UCC, which basically allows, it's like a lien on the equipment that we can remove. But in other cases, for example, a roof loan or a solar PV panel, we may require a cosigner or some type of backup that will help us mitigate the risk. Next. So I just wanted to touch briefly on our capital providers because we feel that, you know, things are changing now and there is more interest in this field and in solar and energy efficiency, and all sorts of financing resources are trying to get into the space. But even in 2013, it was the resources were scarce for this type of lending and these types of improvements. So what we found was that the faith-based organizations, basically churches, were looking to invest, to make what they call alternative investments, and we're keenly aligned with climate change issues and with social and environmental justice. So we have 23 investors to date. 15 of those are faith-based organizations. We have 3 banks that have invested to gain CRA credits. We also have what's called impact investors, which are investors that are looking for a smaller financial return in lieu of impact. And we also have some government grants, which Doug already mentioned at the beginning. We started with a DOE grant. So that's just a chart of the different types of lenders that we have and the variety. Next. So our results to date are that we've completed 1,069 energy assessments to date. That helps the client identify what improvements are the most cost effective. We've closed more than 700 loans for a total of $6 million. 70% of those loans have been to low and moderate income families, and 50% of those approximately are for seniors, 40% are women, 20% are veterans. Our default rates, like I had mentioned before, are less than 1%. We also have recently added, it's important to note, a water quality loan, and also aging in place and disability products because of the high number of senior citizens that we serve. Our clients have reduced an average energy consumption by 25%. We track a lot of information, we track demographics, but we also track energy consumption because that is really our main focus. In the end of the day, we're trying to reduce our carbon footprint and that of our clients through these improvements and through financing. So 25% energy savings is important for LMI populations to be able to redirect those dollars into health and other issues. Our homeowners are also able to enhance the comfort, and health is another really important aspect about clean energy. So we believe that health and quality of life, the increase of the home value, and the reduction of operating costs really help make the financing options even more viable. The last thing is the creation of local jobs. So the way we work is that we affiliate or we approve contractors, and at no cost whatsoever, they join our program and then are able to direct their clients or people that otherwise don't have financing options to us. And then we take care of the client, and then it's a win-win because the contractor gets to do the jobs, the client gets to get the improvement, and we're able to provide the financing. Next. So again, because our focus is to really break down the barriers for everyone, and our focus is on the low and moderate income populations, we have a lot of really, really moving stories, but here are just a few testimonials. This is our Patricia Henderson is one of our clients who had a leak in her roof and had no access to financing, and she was basically gonna probably lose her home because of the damage that the leaks were creating. So we were able to finance a roof and help her out and preserve her asset. Same with the other client that you see here. So the next, please. So we're going to leave you with the last slide that basically has, for whoever wants to access, some video testimonials of some of our clients that can share their experiences with the loans through us. And I think that is it for us.
Yeah, next slide. Yeah, there you go.
So that's our contact information, and just to let you know, we are operating across the state, and we've actually already done a couple of loans, I think 3 loans in Broward, and we continue to expand, and we're able to do loans remotely. So, you know, we're here to serve. Thank you very much.
Duanne and Doug, thank you so much for sharing your model with us. It's such an innovative program. We do have a couple questions from the group if you're willing to entertain them.
Sure, sure, absolutely.
Duanne and then Jennifer.
Yes, I'm speaking on behalf of a nonprofit religious institution that's housed in a very old building. Do they qualify? I got lost in some of the explanation. Where would that kind of organization go to possibly get a loan like this? Do they not qualify for PACE? Is what I've been told.
Do you guys help faith-based communities and NGOs?
We do. Our PACE program in St. Lucie County does provide financing for nonprofits, including churches. I think that'll depend on which of the PACE programs you're trying to work through. I can't speak for the for-profit companies, whether they do that or not. Many of them only do residential, and some of them may or may not do nonprofits, but we have gotten permission from our PACE investor to be able to provide financing for churches. If that is not available, there are some other groups out there nationally that provide financing specifically for churches to go green. So if you can maybe send us an email, we'd be glad to follow up and try and provide you with some more information on those opportunities.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, Jennifer.
Yes, I was just wondering what percentage of your projects are actually solar as opposed to like an air conditioner or like window change out? And then also, how does the KIVA funding work locally for somebody that wants to do a KIVA?
The majority of what we're doing to date has been in the energy efficiency realm. I think we've done about 70+% of our projects have been in solar, or excuse me, in energy efficiency. Solar has constituted less than 10% of our overall portfolio to date. However, that is changing rapidly. One of the things that affects our ability to finance solar projects is the term of the investors. And to date, we've largely had investments coming in on 3- and 5-year terms. And with the retail price of solar, you know, being around $20,000 to $25,000 for a house, it's hard to scrunch that loan into a 3- to 5-year term and make it affordable. We developed the PACE program in part to provide longer term financing specifically for that. And we're also currently negotiating at least one, if not two, new investment opportunities that would provide 8, 10, and possibly 12-year terms. So we're also seeing the trend in Florida. We're very excited. One of the earlier speakers was the Florida Sun program, which is providing bulk rate financing, which brings the price of solar closer to $2 a watt and a net zero home cost under $15,000 if you apply the 30% federal tax credit. So those types of loans in the $12,000 to $15,000 range are right in our wheelhouse. And so we've already begun to finance the Florida Sun projects across the state, including Miami, Broward, St. Pete, and we're hoping to do a whole lot more.
There's a second part. I'm sorry, there was a second part to your question.
We also have the KIVA loans.
Oh, yes, let me answer that. So I just want to add a comment to what Doug said. Also keep in mind that, again, as a CDFI, a nonprofit focused on LMI, the first step for LMI is really to improve their homes so that they can then put solar on their homes. First, they have to reduce their energy costs. They have to improve their structures. So again, it's a little bit of the stage where we're at as well, where people are still making home improvements that are basic and necessary to then go to the next step, which would be solar. So we're hoping that with everything that Doug said, we will be doing much more solar in the near future. So moving on to the KIVA question, the way KIVA works is basically you go on to kiva.org. And you set up an account if you're going to be a micro investor. The micro investor means that you're willing to lend a minimum of $25, and then you can lend up to whatever amount you want. I'm not sure there's even a limit, but in $25 increments. So basically, you set up an account like a PayPal. You know, you sign up, and then you can look through all the loans, thousands of options that are on KIVA. But the way to identify the loans is depending on your interest. So if you're interested in green loans, in our case, if you're interested in looking for our clients that are here in Florida, you would look for Solar and Energy Loan Fund loans, and then our clients would show up. And then you have a profile of a client with basically a short story that tells what they're looking for financing for. And then you would choose to invest anywhere from $25 or more in that client. Once you make that investment, KIVA will automatically pay you back, whether it's to your debit card or bank account or whatever it is, and you will receive tiny payments on a monthly basis. So for example, Doug and I and other staff members have all invested in our clients and have small quote-unquote portfolios. Now, as investors, we don't make an interest. It's 0%. What we get is our capital back. And we get, obviously, the impact, the doing good and advancing our mission. But you can have a small portfolio, and then on a monthly basis, KIVA will send you a report and will tell you how much the people have repaid. There's a 99% repayment rate in KIVA. And it's pretty amazing because, again, these are clients that are considered unworthy of credit by banks and have to go to predatory lenders. So KIVA is a great way to help people in your own backyard access affordable financing and be a part of it without necessarily giving away your money. So I don't know if I explained how it works, but again, we're happy to follow up with you if you want to shoot us an email.
I just want to add one quick real life KIVA story, if I could, to put it in perspective. We had a contractor from Polk County who was in our network who contacted us and was working with an 80-year-old widow who needed financing for a new roof. Unfortunately, her husband had recently passed. They had huge medical bills and they had to declare bankruptcy. So unfortunately, Verda had a 500 credit score and had been declined by every bank in Polk County. Contractor called us, asked if we could potentially assist. We put her profile on KIVA, and in 6.5 hours, we raised $10,000 from 331 individual investors on 3 continents, and we're able to give Verda a $10,000 loan at 5% interest fixed on a 5-year term, despite her 500 credit score.
Wow, awesome. Talk about impact, right? Community impact. Yeah. That's fantastic. All right, any other questions for them? I know we could talk to them forever, right? Fantastic work, you guys. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. I'm sure we're going to follow up with a lot of questions from everybody here with you guys, but great work. Thank you so much for everything that you do.
No, thank you for having us. Thank you, and we're available as needed. Just shoot us an email or feel free to call us. We'll be glad to help. Thank you.
Thank you.
everyone.